today I'm showing you around this 2015 Ford Transit with a brand new conversion. Let's get inside, out of the wind, and I'll show you around. So first thing I'm going to do is take my shoes off. And the shoe storage just here. There we are. So before I show you all around the van, let me tell you a little bit about my experience. So I lived in the States for 5 years or so, and while I was there I bought a very old RV, huge thing, like a 36-foot long petrol motorhome, and I spent a few months ripping out all the sort of old interior because RVs in the 90s were awful. Took out the interior, I solar converted the whole thing, I covered the whole thing in solar panels, and then so it was completely off grid, and then I toured around the southern states for a long time. So I've lived in vans full time. I know exactly what annoyed me straight away, I know what annoyed me after some months. So I've really thought about, when designing this, I've really thought about not being a full-time camper, but certainly being very convenient, easy to use, but enjoyable and comfortable. So I hope that that experience has gone into making this camper all that it could be. So let's take some time to look around the cab. So first thing you'll notice, so 53,000 miles on the clock, which is absolutely nothing. This is the 2.2 turbo diesel, so really amazing engine. What do we have? So all the light settings and the electric mirrors, and I think they fold in as well. There we go, so yeah, the mirrors do fold in as well. Okay, I don't know what that means. We have the parking sensors are excellent. It's visual, so they are, a lifesaver for getting around campsites, well, just around everything, I suppose. There are two sets of heating controls, one for the cab itself where I'm sitting now, but also one for the main area of the van behind. And how this works is you can turn this on and heat actually blows out from under the passenger seat. The heat blows out under the floor, so hopefully that will heat the whole cab area. So if you're driving somewhere and it's cold, you can turn this on, and when you get there you'll arrive to a really warm cab. And then the cooling, if I turn that on, I don't know if you can hear, it's right down the back. So there is a secondary air conditioning unit right down the back of the vehicle that I'll show you later. But so you have got air conditioning both in the driver's area, also in the cab at the back. The stereo is pretty good, so it has a CD player. It's also Bluetooth, so you can just play songs or navigation just with Bluetooth from your phone. There is, how do we open this? An area here, so there's an audio input, there's a USB, so you can charge your phone there if you like, and a secondary 12-volt outlet. As you can see, the cab is in excellent condition, really well looked after throughout. Everything's just extremely tidy, well maintained, just ready to go camping. It's just such a nice vehicle to drive. I've had to drive it a little to and from the MOT test centre recently, to have it MOT'd, and it feels like a car to drive because it's kind of got a little sporty steering wheel. It just doesn't feel as big as it is. Very easy to jump from driving a car to driving this. It does a lot of work to assist you with hill starts and things like that. It's excellent. It just drives really nicely. It's very comfortable. It's much more comfortable than driving a car. You can imagine doing really long journeys in this with no problem. There's cup holders and storage everywhere. It's a very, very nice vehicle to drive. And it's the 2.2 turbo diesel, so it does drive really well, but also this used to be a minibus, and so we've actually took about a ton of weight out of it. So we're not going to downplate it, but this chassis is meant to carry a lot more weight than it actually is. So the brakes are really competent, the engine's really competent, it feels extremely light on the suspension, and it just means that it's a very competent and safe vehicle, because so many campers, they pack them so close to the weight limit that it can carry, and then your brakes are on the edge, you know, and it's like you don't have competent brakes, your engine's struggling up hills, things like that. And that's just not happening here at all. Very, very competent vehicle, extremely underweight. It just manages itself extremely well. So that's enough about me and enough about the cab. Let's go through into the living area and I'll start the tour. So as you can see, you can get to the driver's seat from the living area without getting out of the vehicle, which is great if the weather's bad or if you need to drive away for any reason in a hurry. So let me show you around the shower cubicle. So the lights in the ceiling, they're set into the panels themselves, so they can be controlled either by this remote or by this app. Let's try the app. So you see they're turned on, and if we go to color, you can just choose any color you want. If you really want to sync your shower to music, you can do that too. If you're not very techy or you're just not in the mood, all you have to do, flick on the switch and the lights come on. You can just have the lights like that and you can just turn them off again by the switch. So don't need to be techy, don't need to mess around with it. It's just a fun feature. The space just inside the door, I would hang coats and hats and umbrellas here, anything like that, just by the door. You also have a power outlet here, so that when the weather's better than it is today, you can sit with the door open. You could have a barbecue outside and you can still use electricity close to the van. So moving on to this area, we have a domestic fridge. It's a 240 volt fridge. It has a little freezer compartment in the top. You can see it's all brand new. I've just been storing some drinks in here, but that is unused other than that. Above that we have the microwave, and again it's brand new. Let me talk about the cabinets a little bit. So all the cabinets are handmade custom to fit, and they are on hinges that are quite difficult to open, so they won't come open during driving, and they also soft close, and that goes throughout the whole vehicle. There's quite a lot of storage in here. Oh, this is the amplifier, which we'll come to later. And that brings us to the kitchen area, where obviously there is quite a lot to show you. So again, the cabinets are all custom fit. There is a Belfast sink dropped into the worktop there. The kitchen has its own dedicated lighting because I hate insufficient lighting in the kitchen. So there are really powerful lights here. There's an extractor switch here, which again is extremely quiet. If I turn that on now, you can barely hear it. The motor's installed behind the shower, but so that extractor actually extracts from both the kitchen here, but also from the shower as well. So there's one switch for extraction. Let me turn that off again. So in the kitchen area we have the main 12 volt switch panel. This controls all the 12 volt items in the van. The number one that's on at the moment, that is, it says water pressure on there, that's the water pump. So because we're off grid, it's currently pressurizing the water with a pump. So you can hear it if I turn on the tap. You can just hear that kick in. Now there's a little bit of air in the system. And then that feeds into the waste tank underneath. So we're operating completely off grid at the moment. Solar power and stored water. So this can be left turned on anytime that you need off-grid water pressure. But if you are hooked up to pressurized water, like from a main supply, then you don't need to have that on. You can turn that off and you'll just use the water pressure from the water supply itself. Second switch on the switch panel we've already covered. That is the shower lighting, so that just turns on and off the shower lights. The third switch here is your water tank alert. So when you get to 75% water in the waste tank, this lights up to let you know you need to empty it. The fourth one is entertainment. So if I switch this on, and let's go and check out the entertainment. So here we have a TV mount, a very strong TV mount, and some cables running down there, and at the moment I just have a tiny screen. I think it's 12-inch or something, little tiny screen. We do have other options if you want a really wide cinema screen in here. I'll install that for you, but you know, if you're going somewhere and entertainment's not a big thing for you, this is fine. And there is a shelf above where you can plug in any device you want. You could drop in a games console there if you want. The power outlets there ready for you. There's a what's it called, Google thing. Okay Google, what time is it?
It's 11:32 a.m.
You can, at the moment we have a little Android box in there. I don't know if you've seen those, but that kind of plays videos and things off a memory card or over the network or whatever. You can stream to it from your phone. Again, if you're techie and you want to do things, plenty of options here. If you're not, that's fine too. You can just use the basics. I mentioned before the amplifier is in that top cabinet there. So because I've switched on from the 12-watt panel, that is now live. And we have our entertainment over here, and it is fed to these two speakers here, and they're Cambridge audio satellites. They sound wonderful. So if I play something, so I'm controlling this just with a little remote down here. It sounds great. So for general listening, that sounds great. But if you come over, if you flick on switch 5, there's a mounted subwoofer under the seat, so it just really makes music and movies just sound amazing. So that's switch 5. That's optional because depending on your neighbours in the caravan park, you might not want to use that all the time. So the only switch we haven't talked about is switch 6, and that operates, well, it activates the remote bed lift, which we'll come back to in a little while. So above the kitchen we have a lot of storage. So there's a double cabinet here that goes all the way through, and also a power outlet, because what I found when I was living in an RV was sometimes you wanted to charge your laptop, but you didn't want to leave your laptop on the side so people could see it through the window where, you know, where the outlets are. So I've hidden this outlet so you can leave something in there charging while you go out for the day, and then your laptop or camera or whatever you're charging is out of sight, but still right next to a power source. So that brings us down to the kitchen area. Under the sink is the water heater. So it has electric water heater. And that also works on off-grid as well. So we could actually heat up water now if we wanted. It's a very grey day, but we're still operating okay on solar. We're kind of generating as much as we're using, so we could sit here and the little TV is on, the fridge is on, well, everything's powered up as normal, and we could do that on solar power, no problem. But obviously a water heater uses quite a lot of power, so if you're on a sunny day, that's kind of fine. You could go down to the beach or something, leave the hot water on, and when you come back you'll have a hot shower. But if you're on hookup, you can just leave it on all the time. You've always got hot water available whenever you need it. Further down the kitchen we have a drawer for cutlery and things like that. You can see it's quite tough to open because they're all on magnets, like I say, and the hinges pull things closed. So it takes a bit of a tug, but that's just so while you're driving it doesn't pop open by itself. So we have, and on the other side too, another wheel arch storage. So I've got a blanket in there, picnic blanket. You know, that storage goes quite a long way back, so that's where I would put any sort of soft things, other coats if you need, but blankets and things like that, anything you can just kind of push in there. I'm going to call this a turnkey camper because I think it is ready to just go and pick up and go camping straight away. But what you do need to add at some point is a method of cooking, because it does have a microwave, but what I used to use and what I think is the best was an electric hot plate, and I used to use it for everything. You could do breakfast on it, but you could do stir fry on it, and you could do steaks on it. It was perfect. So that was my chosen cooking method. But you know, some people like to use gas. I'm not a big fan of gas personally. I don't really like it in an enclosed area. I know people do a lot to make it safe, but it's just not something I want to be involved with. So I prefer electricity. And then I think some people, you know, if it's only a weekend van, they might want to cook just using a barbecue outside, in which case, you know, I didn't want to take up the space by sinking a hob permanently into the worktop when it might not be used all the time, and plus then you've got an exposed glass surface that might get damaged by something dropping out of the cabinet. So it was just I think a better solution just to leave it for the new owners to choose what they're going to put in. And like I say, I would definitely choose an electric hot plate, and there's a power outlet just down here which leads to just here really easily, and the extractor of course is just there, so I think that's probably the best solution. So I would suggest having either that or electric hob in this sort of area. So this area forms part of the worktop, but also using the handle it pulls out, and so that forms a strong dining area or work table in the center of the space, and when you're finished you just slide it back in. This area can also be used for working on a computer. You pull the screen out, and then you pull this out too, and then you have a work surface where you can use the computer easily. So the seating has reclined sides, so I'd suggest you can sit on it. You can recline either side. It has upright seating for when you're eating, but you can also sit with your feet up down this side, and you can watch the TV. So it's very flexible, lots of options. It's really comfortable. It has commercial grade foam. The foam is actually used in commercial seating, so it should have a really long lifespan, and it's really comfortable. Let's put that back. Behind the seating is the storage area. We'll come to that later. I'll show you from the back, but you can actually access it from the living side of the van if you need to. And now for one of my favorite features of the van, and that's the bed lift. So switch 6 is on, and that means that it will now, once I press the button, begin to lower down. So it moves using 4 actuators, these silver poles you can see. It has a 750mm movement. You can see it takes a little while. I would argue quicker than packing away parts of a bed, quicker than making your bed at night time, because you can see once it comes down, the bed is already made. The bed itself, as with most campers, is not as big as a normal double bed, but I'm 5'11", and I find it pretty comfortable. I can't necessarily, stretch out with my arms above my head and all that sort of thing, but I can lay on it pretty comfortably. In fact, I suppose I better prove that. So here I am in the space. As I say, I'm 5'11", but it's actually very comfortable for me. I can stretch my feet out. Not quite, I can't literally stand up straight, but I don't sleep that way anyway. And this actually works really nicely for me. So now the bed is down, it's revealed some storage areas up here where you can put your phone, anything that you need to be by the bed. Just keeps that storage away from being on the bed. You can see, you can also still see the TV from here. Okay Google, how long is it until bedtime?
Sorry, I don't understand, but I found something related. Do you want to know what hours are bedtime?
Yes.
On the website verywellhealth.com, they say, school-age children should go to bed between 8 o'clock and 9 p.m. Teens should try to go to bed between 9 o'clock
Google.
and 10 p.m.
Stop. Getting on and off the bed is really easy. I just use this just as a little step. Very easy to get on. There's quite a lot of headroom. It's very comfortable up here, a bit like being on a top bunk. And then to get up, same thing. And it's quite easy just to drop down into the main part of the living area. So let's put this bed away and we'll carry on with the tour. So again, with the bed lift turned on, all you have to do is press both buttons as a safety precaution. You have to press both, and then the bed will lift away. So the bed itself is held in place by these 4 aluminium tracks, and so at any point in its travel the bed is always rock solid. So when you're driving, it's not going to go anywhere, whether it's up, down, in the middle, doesn't matter. But you should only really lay on it when it's fully down, as it also rests on the seating as well, just to give it more stability while you're laying on it. Now the weather's a little better, I will show you the rear storage area. So you can see we can access it from the living area. So from the outside, you can access the back like this. We have a huge storage area. There's a water button there at the moment because we're off grid. You could also feed that water pipe through this hookup door that's on the side, and the electricity hookup and the water hose both go through there. And solar panels on the roof feed into this unit. There are 2 100 amp hour batteries positioned behind this, and then there's your circuit breaker. Take this off. Circuit breaker fuses for the mains electric, and then the master cutoff. So the solar panels cable comes down here into this unit, and then this unit charges those batteries, also handles the hookup. So it's pretty seamless. So if you're working on shore power, if you're at a campsite and you're plugged in and you're using their electricity, if their electricity drops, you'll automatically switch over to using the batteries and the solar. You won't even know. So everybody else will lose their lights and you'll just carry on and you won't even know anything about it. And the same thing goes when you pull up to a campsite and you plug in. So you literally can leave all your fridge running, leave everything running. When you get to the campsite, you plug in, it will switch over to electricity from the main supply, and it'll also start charging those 2 batteries as well from the main supply. The box handles everything, and you can get a readout here and you can see how much battery you have left. You can see what's going on. See, at the moment we are, like I say, running on solar, but the batteries are full. So it's just sitting there ready for action. The storage area is huge. It's the width of a large suitcase, so you could put in, I don't know, you think 5 suitcases like that and still be at a low level. Obviously the storage space is reduced a little bit when the bed comes down, as the bed comes down to this sort of level, but you know, that's still a hell of a lot of storage there. But you could put in bikes in there, you could put in a motorbike there if you wanted to. It's really a big space. So I think that's all I can tell you. I don't think I've missed anything out, but please ask any questions. This van is now ready to go touring. I can't wait to see what adventures it goes on.